Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about how to set up your levels for the small home design project where you're going to be creating a floor system and a wall system as specified under number 15 and 16. Your wall system is going to be your choice of exterior material, house wrap, half-inch sheeting, 2x6 stud, half-inch GWB interior, and then you have a floor system, 3/4 inch subfloor, 2x12 floor joist. This wall system is a wall system we utilized if we pick siding. The rest of the wall system we utilized in the past. So we can actually copy that from one of our other projects. When we're talking about setting up levels, we're going to talk about setting up levels so that the levels look like this. Now these are images in the assignment that you can go take a look at. What we're looking to do is setting up the finished floor height from finished floor to the bottom of the gypsum wallboard. We want that finished floor height to be 8 feet. So to do that, we need to give a little allowance, because when we jump back into Revit, we take a look at the close-up detail wall here. For our small house, the first floor level is based off of the top of the subfloor. The oak flooring that's added as my finished floor is in addition to that. So if we're going to have a finished floor of what would be 8 feet from the bottom of the ceiling to the bottom or the top of the flooring, the oak flooring, we have to give it a little allowance. So the oak flooring being 3/4 of an inch, and then the gypsum wallboard 1/2 inch, we're going to give that allowance of 1 1/4 inches. So to go ahead and set these levels up, let's go ahead and start by doing, the first thing is opening up a brand new Revit file. So we're going to do File, New, and then we're going to slide over here and go down and open up the architectural template. So while that's opening up, what I'm going to do is then also go and open up the drawing that we utilized, that wall system, which was a 2x6 stud, 1/2 inch OSB, 0.5 siding in thickness, and the gypsum wallboard. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to highlight it, and then I'm going to click on my keyboard, Control-C. That copies the wall. Then I can select off of it, and then I can go to my new file, and I'm going to go ahead and do a Control-V. This is then going to go ahead and paste that wall into this project, and just click that into the space here. I can then click off of it, I can highlight it and delete it, because I really don't need to keep the wall there, because when I grab my wall tool to draw a wall and pull down the different wall options, there's my 2x6 stud. So I'm going to go ahead and select it, and now I want to go ahead and set up my wall location line, and I'll pull that down, and I want to do what is going to be core face exterior. And that core face is based off of the information in my wall, so that core boundary, and that's going to be the outside layer of my OSB, outside of my membrane layer, my house wrap, which is a 0 layer anyway. So that's where that's coming from. So now I can go ahead and I can start drawing some walls, so we can have something to look at when we jump into our levels. So I'll just go ahead and I'm just going to sketch in a quick wall here. We'll do a 20-foot wall this way, and I'll just come down and do another 20-foot wall, and just do a quick little box. We have something to take a look at. All right, so we're locking that up. Now immediately, what I want you to take note of is I don't see layers in my wall, so I need to come down to the bottom of my screen, select my detail level, make that fine, and then I want to come immediately to my Manage tab, to the Object Styles, and I want to change the thickness of my line type for my walls. So in my cut walls, I want that to become 1, and then we're going to go ahead and hit Apply for that. Now I can start to see some layers. I also want to see a little more detail in those walls, so I'm going to go back in, and I want to then use my common edges here so that my common edges become 1, and I can go ahead and apply for that as well. Then I can really start to see layers. Additionally, I'm going to then change, since I'm in my styles, I'm going to go to my floor system, because I'm going to need to adjust that also. So in my floor system category, I'm going to take that 5, and I'm also going to make that a 1. Click in any other cell, hit Apply. You won't see anything because I'm on the floor yet. So now I'm ready to do is go to my elevation. So any elevation will work. East is at the top. And now I want to start setting up levels. So one of the first things I do here is I want to select one of the levels, and then there's a small purple circle that shows up directly next to the symbol for the level. I'm going to left click on it, hold, and drag that closer to my structure. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, hold and drag that closer to my structure. The way I'm not zooming as far out and in, I can see what's happening. So the next thing I'm going to do is I want to start adding levels in. I want to start adding levels into this in relationship to this particular setup. So I'm going to then have a first floor at 0, 0. I'm going to actually put in my top of foundation, that TO foundation, at -1 foot 1.5 inches. That's going to incorporate the floor system and then also the 1.5 inch sill plate that will come later when we start working through foundations. We're going to start working with that number now. So we're going to go ahead and jump back into here. This is our project. Go to the Architecture tab. I'm going to slide across the Architecture tab over to the Level tool under the Datum ribbon bar section. Hit Level. And then I'm just going to set this up so this locks on to the end of the line. I click and I just drag across. Really not concerned about positioning anything at this point. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here because I'm going to want to get some additional levels here for my second floor. So I'm going to click as it locks up to the level and drag this across until that locks up, and left click again and drop the level in position. Hit escape twice to finish up the commands. And now I want to start looking at how, wow, things are really overlapping here, and it's going to get to be a little more confusing soon. I'm going to change my scale right away. This 1/8 inch equals a foot. I'm going to pull that and I'm going to go ahead and create this as a 1/4 inch equals a foot drawing. Doing so gives me a little more leeway in seeing what's happening. I can also go ahead and pull these in a little closer. So when we locked them up in the beginning, that allowed us to then be able to go back and then adjust these all together instead of having to deal with them separately. So next thing is let's start dealing with the TO foundation. So we'll select the double click on the actual dimension itself, and then we're going to highlight that. And I'm going to type in it's -1 foot, 1 space, 1/2 inch. That's going to jump itself into position. And then immediately I'm going to hit that little add elbow that drops the level down so we can read it better. And I'm going to change the name too. I'm going to type in TO foundation. And yes, I want to rename the corresponding view. So we hit yes. So then we're going to come up here and we're going to make this level 2 the TO level 1 walls. So I'm going to go ahead and select this and type in TO level 1 walls. Select yes. And now I want to set up my height, which is going to be 8 feet, 1.25 inches. And that jumps into position. So now I have these set. Let's do the next one. And this is just going to become, this is level 2. And then we'll change the name. And we're going to set this up so that this becomes 9 feet, 1.25 inches. And then we'll go ahead and drop the lower elbow. With this now set up into position, now I can start thinking about my floor system and how I want the floor system to interact with the walls and levels. Okay, when I'm looking to set the floor system up, again, the project we did here where we had a hardwood flooring, I think we used the exact same floor system we're looking to use again. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'll hide this door by selecting it and hitting hide in view by element. Then when I mouse over, I want to be able to select the floor system. I can go in and take a look at it now. So edit type, go in and take a look at this. And so we got a floor joist system, 11.25 sheeting. That's my subfloor, and then my oak flooring above the core boundary. We're going to use this. So with this being set, this is highlighted. I'm going to do Control C. We're copying that, and we're going to take it right into this next drawing here. I'm going to do Control V. And what that's going to do is paste my floor into my project. I'm not going to use this floor right now. What I'm going to do is then I'm going to go ahead and build my own floor. So this is my own architectural floor, and I'm going to just select the walls. And what that's going to do is it's going to quickly drop my purple lines on for my perimeter, which is fine. But then what I want to do is make sure I select the floor that I had made before. So here's my hardwood with sheathing and joist. That should be the floor. Just go in and double check that it is. Yep, looking at that, that's all looking good. It's oak, sheeting, yep. Hit OK, hit OK. Then what I want to do is I want to make sure that my purple line, hit escape once, hit escape twice, now I can grab the purple line. I want that line to be between the stud and the sheathing layer. That's because when we set this up properly, I want the sheathing to actually run down past the flooring system. Because we don't see the flooring system from the outside of the house. What we see is the siding, and the siding will run down the side of the wall. So we set this up so the sheathing run past the floor system, and so does the siding. So setting this all up, I'm going to go ahead and hit the green check. And then immediately, I want to turn off these lines. All of these detail lines makes it difficult to work in the drawing at times. So I'm going to hit Override Graphics and View by Element, and then uncheck the visibility, hit Apply, and hit OK. Okay, so what we need to do now is I'm going to jump into the east elevation. You can see that my floor is sticking out under my house. Really what's going on is my walls have not been brought down to the foundation level, because the walls should come down. So I'm going to select one wall. I'll select one wall, I'll right click, I'll do select all in the entire project, so I have all my walls selected. And I want my base constraint. I want these walls to drop down to the TO foundation level and set that into position. We'll deal with the upper constraint later. But we drop that down now. And now I'm going to go back to my level 1, and I want to set up, go to the View tab, and I want to set up a section view. So I then cut this house in half. I'm going to pull this back so I don't see any of the wall. I want to see is a slice of this house. So double click on this call out head, or I can go over to building sections, either way, and find the section. So as I'm taking a look at this, first thing again, let's go ahead and maneuver our levels out of the way. Drop our elbows so we can see what's happening. Always have a nice working drawing here. And as I'm looking at this, I need to do my detail level also to set that up. And you can see how things are working out here. This wall is running through the floor system. What we need to do is we need to join these two together. So I'm going to select the floor system, come up here to my geometry bar, click on the join tool, and I'm going to join the wall to the floor. And then what happens is they cut out geometry. And so far this is correct. The sheathing should run down to the outside, the siding should run down, but right now our oak flooring is below our 0, 0 layer. Okay, there's our 0, 0 layer. So I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to select the floor system, and I'm going to move that up. So I'm going to height offset from level, and I'm going to then put that up by the thickness of the flooring, which is 3/4 of an inch. So technically the way that this is seating is correct in that the floor, the subfloor, would be supporting the stud wall. The sheathing is running past the outside. The siding is running past the outside. What would happen in this location right here is where we would have our sill plate. And that sill plate would drop itself into position there, and the sill plate is 1.5 inches thick. That sill plate would reside directly underneath of the line of the wall and hold up the floor system. So this is pretty close to having a nice section view that we could then go ahead and start identifying materials on. This is the exact same way that we would duplicate this for the second floor. To make this, if you have the same exact second floor as first floor, you can actually select the floor system. You can grab the copy tool, and you can then take and copy this from the first floor straight up to where the second floor would be located. What you'll have to do again is then just select the floor, grab the join tool, and then you need to join the floor to the wall. And you can see how things clean up again, and that your second floor level is in relationship to the subfloor. The only thing missing is our gypsum wallboard on the ceiling. So we'll go to our level 1. Here we're going to grab our ceiling tool, and I'm just going to then allow the automatic sketch to show up. Here it's saying none of the elements created are visible. That's fine, because then I'll just go into my section, and you can see there's my ceiling. Now, you need to change the information in your manage